On your best behaviour. Me and my homies love skins. Oh yes, skins are beautiful, lovely. I love the pixels. Yes, so the first 24 hours of sales, the likes of what we see here with the current Rust store. Neon Small Seed Storage, the lowest selling small box that we've had, Neon Small Box that we've had over the past few weeks. So of course, with the previous week, we took a week off. All right, cool. But before that, we did have the Neon Small Comp Storage. This was the lowest selling Neon Small Box that we had, and it had 17,500. I go back over to here. First 24 hours of sales, 12,600 subscribers. That's a 5,000 difference. So in theory, some of you might be thinking, oh wow, so you're sitting there saying that's not going to get anywhere close to 40,000 subscribers by next Thursday? Probably, wouldn't be surprised by it. It might struggle to even go over 30,000 subscribers. But I do stand by my point of all the neon storages that we've seen over the past few weeks, it's kind of inevitable that they're going to probably go down in price with the likes of the autumn fall seasonal dip. October, they are most likely going to reach a new low point. I've yapped about that more than enough. I'm sure you get it by now. So whilst that's looking to be a lot more appealing, it still is expected to follow like all the other small boxes. And then, of course, with the likes of Junkernaut Garage Door, not too long ago, we had the likes of the Tempered Double Door. Where are you? There you are. After 24 hours of sales, that also did 9,000 subscribers. So, with a nice little comparison, if I quickly hop over to the likes of here, we can see for ourselves that it was June 6th, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Yeah, that reached only about 20,000 subscribers. So I'm under the impression Junkernaut probably won't be selling an absurd amount. It might turn out to be a pretty interesting investment. But again, with the Rust rotation, please consider watching that video. I did sit here and say that still most likely will also suffer with the autumn-fall seasonal dip. Now, I know I keep yapping on about it. I know I keep going on about it. But if you take a look at the player counts right now, June 2024 has been absolutely impressive. Like, we had a wonderful peak player count, and throughout all of this month, an average player count of almost 98,000. We've got 2 more days left, but that has done outstanding. Compare it to last year, we've easily surpassed June 2023, and we've even beaten July. Like, I'm pretty sure we're going to potentially go up to 99,000. We'll see. But it's not going to last forever. The kids will go back to school. You've got to be prepared for that. So last year, whilst we had the averages of 90,000 for both of these summer months, once we hit September, it goes down, and that becomes a problem. Now, I've yapped about this so much recently that people on YouTube have actually quite literally asked me, saying, hey, Hedge, I see the comments all the time, yeah, you're more than welcome to ask me questions here. I'll try my best to help you out if I can. But I've had a few people sitting there saying, will the likes of Forest Raiders go down in price in October? Will the likes of Whiteout and whatnot? Yeah. Yes, they will. But how much by? That's something we could probably showcase right now. And please be aware, certain extra valuable skins, whilst they appear to kind of go down in price around October, they just also don't really sell that much either. So what do I mean? Well, let's just have ourselves a bit of a showcase here, discussing, yapping, you name it. We'll be talking about pixels. So first up, let's talk about the likes of the Whiteout collection. All of the Whiteout armor skins have been reaching new all-time high prices during the likes of June 2024. Yes, as I scroll down over to here, look at the sales. There you go. It's pretty obvious, you can see that for yourself. But here's the point of autumn fall seasonal dip. If you want to get a good idea of a skin that's like fairly popular, or at least been around for a few years, if you want to get a good idea if it's going to be affected with the September, October, November months, just look at the past. Look at the past sales. It's not hard. So all I've got to do is just look at 2023. So during the summer, you know what? I could go a bit further back there. Sorry about that. Let's go here. Let's zoom out a bit. Right, there you are. So during the likes of June going into July, that was reaching a new all-time high price. But yes, once we hit around September, it does dip. Now, that's not a huge drop in price, but it did still dip. So high point here, sitting there at about $9. And then once we reached around October time, that went all the way down to about $8. Where was me? But still, point remains. It did dip down to a point. Yeah, so that's about $7 there. That's about $9. And then post-Christmas, just a few months back, that reached a nice high point of about $14. Yeah, now, of course, with what we see here, we've surpassed that. We've beaten that slightly. But will we drop off a fair bit? Will we go down potentially to, I don't know, maybe $12 potentially? Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. But we do have quite a lot of barders over here as well. At worst, we'll probably be slightly above $13. So take into account, how many listings are there in total, what are the buy orders currently looking like, kind of get a good idea of, well, if there were to be dumpings and whatnot, hey, maybe it would probably only reach to around a low $13. Maybe it might even kind of creep into around just slightly below $13. But there's plenty of barter support to help it out there. And also, how many sales of this have we seen in the past 24 hours? 62. I probably will sit here and say maybe it could go down to around $12 to $13, just purely based on what I see here with the buy orders. So that's just a very rough estimate, but yes, by looking at the past, we did acknowledge that, yeah, it dipped down in price a fair bit last year. The expectation is it's going to happen all over again. We could look at the likes of other whiteout skins. So here I have the hoodie, currently sitting here at around $12. Looking at the buy orders to the right, it's got a lot of buy orders. Look at that. And of course, another whiteout skin. You would not be surprised to see that this also reached a new all-time high price. So over the course of the few years it's been around, as you can see, it just keeps slowly going up and up and up and up and up. But if I just kind of zoom in here a little bit more. So during the likes of August, that went up to about $7 at one point in August 2023. It does dip down. So from here, $7 all the way to over here, that's barely cracking maybe just over $5. But after that, it rises, and it reaches a new all-time high price just about with post-Christmas, dips down during the Easter dip, and then, of course, summer right now, reaching a new all-time high price. So, yes, even that too, that also suffered with the likes of the autumn fall seasonal dip. It wasn't a huge drop in price, but it still happened. But one thing you also might have noticed by now, whilst they dip in price around October time, from then on, at some point in October, it will reach a lowest point, and from then on, it'll only go up, 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 up. So again, looking at the likes of this, as you can see, whilst it's not fairly straightforward, this was the lowest point in early October last year, and it just technically keeps on rising. Now, post-Christmas wasn't exactly super great a few months back. We've already talked about that, haven't we? But still, it still went up in price. So from here to here, it doubled in price. Will that happen again? Well, based on the prices that we're currently seeing here, I don't think we'll see that much of a significant climb. But so as long as we don't see any other budget alternatives for the Whiteout collection, it's only going to keep getting more and more expensive. We've seen that with the likes of Forest Raiders, for example, and yeah, we'll be talking about that in a bit, don't you worry. So yeah, if there's nothing else that can compare to it, it's only going to get more and more valuable. And with the player count still rising, don't be surprised if it keeps happening, because yeah, what are the go-to options? Well, typically a lot of people like Whiteout and Forest Raiders, for example. We've also got Desert Raiders, which we'll showcase in a minute. So looking at the Whiteout Kilt as well, this reached up to $18+ at one point just a couple of weeks back, and if we were to go over to here and look at the sales, you can see that yep. So same point, looking at the sales with last year, reaching a very nice comfortable price of about $12 to $13 in the summer of 2023, dips down to a lowest point in early October, and then from then on rises, reaches a nice little point here of about $17 post-Christmas, goes down during an Easter dip, rises back up again with the likes of the summer here, and yeah, at one point that was above $18. And if I look over to here, looking at the buy orders to the right and the listings to the left, I mean, it could probably drop off down to around $13 in just a couple months' time, but we shall see. But as of now, it's very good. If you're concerned about this, maybe you might want to consider selling your whiteout skins now, whilst they're selling ever so nicely, or wait it out until with the likes of the July 4th swipe, which of course is next week. That should potentially be the perfect time to sell, because they're going to be at their highest prices for a very long time. And then with that money you have, wait it out. Once we reach October, with the money you have, go buy it back again, and you'll walk away with the skin again with a bit of profit. If you did that with everything you have, well, you might have a lot of profit then. You might be able to buy more skins. So that's the strategy. It's up to you how you go about that, but I have the likes of Steam Inventory Helper to help me see more of these listings, these buy orders and whatnot. And as you can see, I can kind of get a good idea of, well, if we were to have some dumpings happen and whatnot, potentially this might still go down to around $13, but that might not be too bad. But if I were to sell now, let's say if I actually managed to sell mine for $18, the sales after tax and whatnot, I think I'll be able to get like $16 out of that. And of course, if I can manage to buy this for about $13 or so in October, I could get the skin and walk away with a little bit of money. So yeah, you get the idea. It's not too hard to comprehend. Right, so that's Whiteout collection. If you happen to own any of those skins, it's up to you what you do with that information. Let's move on to the likes of Desert Raiders and go through the same format all over again. Now, this only has 22 listings, and that's $40. This is what happens when you don't get all of the Sand Rhino skins being accepted. Anyway, looking at the likes of this, here you go. Yep, very nice and straightforward. During the summer of last year, peaks up to a very nice high point here. Summer appears and then goes down. So, reaches a high point in the middle of August. That's sitting there at about $35. And then once we reach around October time, that's now selling for just shy of $20. All right? So that wasn't too hard to notice there. It drops off pretty badly. But from then on, at that lowest point in October, it just keeps rising, rising, rising. And then, funnily enough, this wasn't even affected by the likes of the Easter dip. Nope, it's been perfect. So yeah, it just keeps going up. Now, I think around this period of time is when Sand Rhino also appeared. Sand Rhino Tier 3. So maybe that also would have been, of course, a bit of an impact. But what we'll do is we'll also take a look at likes of the other Desert Raider skins. So over here, this is currently sitting at $11. Although the other prices are sitting here at about $13, almost $14. So yeah, it's probably about $13, $14. Highest buy order has only gone up to about $11 almost. So take that into account. Looking over to here, are we reaching a new all-time high price? Yes, in fact we are. And if we could just quickly go look at the sales from the last year, around June it peaks up to around $12, $13. It does dip down quite literally right there in October. So that's only selling for around $8 there. So $13 here, $8 here. Bit of a drop, but from then on it only keeps slowly rising up. And yeah, so whilst it doesn't go up to an insane price, in January, it didn't exactly suffer too much with the likes of the Easter dip. So that right there, from here to here, you've seen about maybe like a $2 or $3 profit there. Not that much, but since then it's been rising up even higher and higher and higher. And as you can see, it's now pushing up to almost $14. So that's also been flourishing to the likes of the summer of 2024. And of course the kilt. Yes, the kilt is sitting here at $11, and we can look over to the right with the buy orders only going up to about almost $10. Very thin though. That could easily go down to around $8, maybe even less. We shall see. But again, you've got to look to the left, look to the right, take into consideration how things could, how bad things could be, because this is where I'll make a big fuss about the drop in player count. Last year, we had 90,000 average plus during the summer, and just a few months later, we lose about a third of the player count. Now, when these people disappear, whilst they're probably not playing the game as much, they're probably still on Steam, and they're listing their skins. Because they're not playing for they're not going to play properly probably for a good few months, school. Oh, it's so hard, all that homework and whatnot. But anyway, with the likes of that, they'll be selling their skins. And it will get to a point where there's more people trying to sell rather than buy. And of course, that leads to lowering prices. So less people playing, less demand for skins, more skins being, attempted to be sold rather than bought, leads to prices reaching potentially new lows. But what we're seeing at the moment with so many people currently playing right now, well, increased demand for skins because more people are playing. And of course, with more people buying than selling, prices only improve. So yeah, you should not be surprised to see so many skins have been improving ever so nicely with their prices during this summer. Cool, so we got that nice and established. So it's really up to you how you go about it. Maybe you have more than enough sets for yourself and whatnot, and you just don't really feel the need to sell anything. Hey, that's fine, all right? But let's put it this way. If you know you're not going to be playing that much during the likes of August, September, October, November, why not just sell your kits? Sell it now. Try and grab them again for a cheap price in October. You very likely will walk away with a lovely bit of profit, but it's in your hands. It's up to you how you go about that. So with what I see here, it seems very straightforward. There is a fairly decent chance it could drop off pretty badly, but how bad will the autumn-fall seasonal dip be this year? I can't tell. But last year, it was bad. It was really bad. So I don't think we'll be as bad as last year. I really hope. But yeah. Just get a good look at that. There's no huge numbers holding the prices up. The strongest big number is like at $7 with only 30 quantity. So, yeah. But how many sales of this happen every day? Only 10, it appears. At least for today. But yeah. So, many different skins will be behaving differently and whatnot. It's up to you how you go about that. Now I'm looking at Forest Raiders, so this was one of the most requested or asked about skins in regards to, will these skins be affected by the likes of the Autumn Fall Seasonal Dip? Yes, and we're going to show it off to you. So how does this work? Well, just look at last year. That's what we're going to do. So as you might have noticed, it's been rising up in price ever so nicely, and well, whilst it reached a nice high point in January of last year, no, that's this year, oopsie. Sorry, I didn't look too far. Right, so during the summer of 2023, you could see how it climbed from here to all the way up to here. Doubled in price. Wow, that's insane. But that's the Easter dip right there. So that reached a very nice high point of about, let's say, it's about $12, $12 to $13 almost. But what happens afterwards? As you can see, we go from here to here. That goes down to about $9. It might not be a huge drop, but it still goes down. The fact still remains. It still went down in price. It was still affected. And then what happens once we reach that lowest point in early October? Well, there you go. It just keeps rising all the way up. So from that lowest point here, it just keeps going up, 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 up. It reaches a new all-time high price in January. Kind of drops off a bit during the likes of the Easter dip. But since then, it's just been rising, rising, rising during the summer. And of course, we are now looking at its new all-time high price. Could that potentially still keep going up and up and up? Well, I mean, we never got that Flashbacks collection, did we? Whilst we got the hoodie and pants, we never got the tier 3 or tier 2 armor. So that has no competition. It's only going to keep getting more expensive. So, yeah. Over to here, talking about hoodie and pants. Was this kind of badly affected back in February? Let's go take a look. So, the Flashbacks hoodie and pants were accepted back in February of 2024, and well, yeah, look at that. It does drop off quite a fair bit. So looking at the likes of this, with the summer of last year, this went all the way up to about $13, and then it drops down pretty hard to a point where it goes all the way down to about, at best, maybe about $7.50 to $8. So almost lost half its value, but from there, climb, 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 easily doubles in price. Easily doubles in price and beyond. That went very, very high for post-Christmas. But as I said, during February, the Flashbacks hoodie and pants appeared. A new budget alternative. Nice and perfectly fine green camouflage hoodie and pants. This did drop off quite a fair bit here. Not an extravagant amount. Plus, we never did see any of the continuations for Flashbacks appearing. So, of course, as we now look at this during the likes of the summer, it's reaching a new all-time high price. Might not be as insanely higher compared to the likes of what we saw in post-Christmas, but it's done a very good job for itself. So, yeah, with the likes of Forest Raiders, as long as it doesn't have direct competition, it's only going to get more expensive. And so as long as we keep seeing more and more and more people playing Rust, it's inevitable. So, yeah. Now we can look at the kilt, the most expensive piece of the full set. This reached up to prices that are very close to $70. And, yeah, whilst we have a few stragglers at the moment, it's not too far off from $70 again. Now, the buy orders, they only go up to a certain point. Now, in theory, okay, maybe these are people who are wanting to buy them to then try and flip them. Well, you don't want to offer too close to the price that it sells for here, but if you were to sell something... If you were to try and sell something at $57, you would get $50 back. I believe that's correct. So they probably legitimately are trying to buy one for just a little bit cheaper. Hey, fair enough. Give it a shot if you can. But will this dramatically drop down in price once we reach around October time? I don't think it'll be dramatically, but I do still expect it to happen. So, yeah, look at that. Whoa. Summer of last year reached a new all-time high price. So that peaked up to around $50 last year during the summer of 2023. Once we reach October, that went all the way down to $40. Yep. So 50 to 40. But then from there, it reaches a new all-time high price again. Doesn't really look like it was affected by the Easter dip, and then Bandana just keep going up, 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 and yeah, it got very close to $70. So that very likely will be achieving and surpassing $70 once we look at it around January 2025. Or if a lot of people are playing during the likes of July 2024, that might go beyond there. Maybe. I'm not sure how skins are overall at the moment. How do I say this? So if you've been keeping an eye on all the skins over the past few weeks, you might have noticed it appears some skins have already peaked. They've started to stagnate. Now, in theory, with the likes of this past month, all the North American kids, yeah, they're out of school, summer vacation, not the European ones, and potentially all the other kids in various other parts of the world. All the European kids are out of school in July. So in theory, we potentially might be seeing even more and more and more. Hopefully, I'd love to see it surpass 100,000. But yeah, it could kind of cause certain skins to perk up again a little bit. We shall see. But with the likes of these, I think they've already achieved their highest point. We've just got to wait and see. But I don't necessarily believe they're going to drop off dramatically right now. But as we get closer to September, it's inevitable. So based on what we've seen, you can get a clear idea that yes, these in-demand, fairly pricey, expensive sets, camouflage sets, yes, they are affected. So if you're looking or pondering, I want to buy one of these full sets, your best opportunity to buy it for a fairly cheap price is October. That is usually when most skins reach a new low point, which I must have said about 3 or 4 times already. But we showed examples. I'm sure you get it by now. Now, for some other examples, we got some like fairly pricey skins, such as Alien Red right here. This is currently sitting here at just below $200. All right. Now, as I look at its sales history, guess what? Yes, it is affected. Now, this was at a nice high point back in early 2021. This was the OfflineTV era. That is when OfflineTV, the streaming group, set up their own special server for all their friends and whatnot. And all the biggest Twitch streamers suddenly started playing on it. And for about 2 months back in early 2021, all the biggest streamers were on there playing Rust. That's when Twitch drops just so happened to start. And yeah, so basically, so many people were watching people play Rust back then. And if I quickly show the player counts back then as well, that is when we had our all-time high player counts. Ridiculous. That is when pretty much every single skin, at bare minimum, doubled in price. In most cases, tripled in price. But it didn't last forever, unfortunately. So we have never, ever gone beyond, or at least above 100,000 average player count since then. But we've been getting pretty close every now and then. And trust me when I sit here and say I'm very much looking forward to next month. Anyway, back over to here. Stop yapping about other things. With recent, sales and whatnot, it's gradually, slowly climbing up in price again, but we do see it go up a bit, down a bit, up a bit, down a bit. So if I could look at last year's summer and now, last year's summer to now, yeah, it was sitting there about 150, pushing up to almost $160 there back in August 1st. When I look at around October, November time, wow, that went all the way down to about maybe $115 to $125. Yeah. So it lost quite a significant amount. So yeah, these much more higher price skins are also affected as well. It's in general, less people playing, less demand for skins, lower skin prices. But when there's a lot of people playing, well, look at that. With the Easter dip, this was down to about $140, and now it's currently sitting there at $190. So, ta-da! Cool. What about some more, even more pricey skins? Well, this is where it kind of gets to a point where it's a bit silly. What do you mean? Well, these skins don't really sell that much, do they? As you can probably imagine, there's only so many of these to go around. And yeah, you can see it slowly rising up ever so nicely. When less and less of these become available, they only appear to get more and more expensive. But when I look at this during the likes of the summer, yeah, it reached a new high point, back in September 2023. And then it drops off. October. These are awkward. It doesn't really seem to follow the pattern that much because, look at it right now. There's only 3 listings. And when people get a little bit more desperate, then they suddenly start to put down higher and higher buy orders. So, it's awkward. It really is. But when you look at this, if you haven't been able to buy it back in the past, you probably missed out, I'm afraid to say. But with the likes of that, yes, it did have like one sale that dramatically dropped in price, so let me focus that specifically. So ours is high there, it drops off. That's almost like half the price from there. And there's nothing different about it, is there? So yeah, looks like the October low point still, happened. But that high point there happened in September, so doesn't really follow the rules that much. I don't want to say rules, but themes, trends, you get the idea. So if you don't buy that now, it's going to probably get more and more expensive. Same thing applies to the Big Grin. Now, I bought one of these like 2-3 years ago. Gave it to a good friend. I only spent about like $700. Cool. So yeah, look at what happened to that then. That has been having a wonderful summer. This does still get like fairly decent sales throughout all the months and whatnot. But Same thing applies. There's only so many of them to go around. And this past summer, it has been doing a lovely rise right there. Like, look at that steep rise compared to everything else. The last time we saw a significant steep rise like this was back during the OfflineTV era. OfflineTV era, sorry about that. But yeah, so this one's a bit of an anomaly. I've really got to get this point across. It's like, looking at here, during the summer of last year, reaching up to about $800. We do see a very low point sale here back in October, so that's about $700. And then from there, only rises up, reaches up to about $900 back in January, drops off a little bit during Easter, and here's the summer. So yeah, there's only so many of these to go around. The prices just keep getting higher and higher. Hey, honestly, yeah, maybe you could probably pick one of these up, probably maybe for about $100 or maybe $200 cheaper once we reach October time. But from then on, it'll probably reach higher and higher prices over the course of post-Christmas and the summer of next year. People really want them. What else can I say? But that's at a point where it's just kind of getting silly, and I don't think you can even afford that, so maybe that's not really something for you to worry about. So, in conclusion, bam, you should go ahead, look at your inventories, look at all the skins. Some of them have been around for a good few years, right? Just go see what their behaviour was like in the summer of 2023, and then what happened when we reached the likes of, September, October, November. It's not too hard to get a good idea that, yeah, okay, they'll probably drop off a fair bit. Some of them probably do drop off a little bit more. Like, do you remember when I sat here and said with the likes of the Desert Raiders collection, we did see the arrival of the likes of the Sand Rhino Tier 3 armour. When I looked at the likes of the Forest Raiders hoodie, I reminded you that we did have Flashbacks hoodie and pants being released back in February, just a few months back. There are other things that can, of course, affect the prices of these, but in most situations, they do follow those trends. Blah, blah, blah. Yep. There's the conclusion. So, if you've got money now and you want to go buy skins, in theory, probably a bad idea, because these skins are still selling at very high prices. They're not expected to drop off for another 2 months. So, if you want to be smart with your money, maybe you wait until then. All right? That's all I've got to really say. So, yeah. How high will we potentially go with the likes of July? I'm looking forward to it. I'm wanting to find out. How high will the peak player count be? Because last year, for July 2023, we did 182,000. For June this year, we did 185. And I'm sure you're well aware that, of course, we got the summer sale going on at the moment. There's very likely a reasonable amount of people that are playing Rust for the first time ever. Maybe some naughty people probably bought, second and third accounts, is typical. But yeah. So, yeah, that's that. That was a long ramble. I apologise if it was a fair bit long, but things are looking good for Rust in general. Things are only improving. Like, Rust is honestly still growing. We haven't even dipped below 80,000 so far this year, but don't be surprised if it happens once we reach September. You get the idea by now. So, yeah, that's the Autumn Seasonal Dip. That is the warning. If you want to sell your skins now, it wouldn't be that bad of an idea. If you want to go rebuy those skins again in just about 3 months' time, probably a smart idea. Cool. Done. Awesome. That's everything. Cool. I'm out of breath. So, yeah, keep an eye on the likes of these skins. Yes, these skins will also be affected as well, even the new ones. This is why I ramble for so long in the likes of my Rust rotations and predictions videos. I'm trying my best to keep you informed and warn you of all the potential bad things. Yes, it might end up being quite long, but if you take in the information, you are prepared. Cool. And that's all I asked for. Trying to help you out. That's just trying my best. The best way Hedge can do it with about, a 30-minute video. Alright, cool. That's the front page there. Right. That's everything I needed to say, I think. I should be right, so thumbs up. Catch you later. Keep an eye on your barders as well. We're getting to that point now where certain prices might potentially be a bit awkward, so with every barter that you've done so far this year, always monitor them. Keep an eye on them. It does matter. Cool. Right, now you can relax. Go enjoy the summer. Catch you later. See you and goodbye.